Are you looking for ideas for what to sew this fall? Well, I've got you covered. Hi, my name is Sarah, and welcome to my channel, which is all about sewing and styling a handmade wardrobe. I went to several popular online shops to get inspiration for the kinds of things that you might want to sew for this fall. I'm going to be showing you the garments and then the patterns that you can use to recreate these items. So let's just get right to it. The first shop that I visited is And Other Stories. I believe it's a UK only shop. I don't think you can purchase in the US. But they have a lot of basics and nice fabrics, but in really lush materials. So the first item I wanted to share was this suede cropped trench. I really like the look of this jacket. I really like cropped jackets in general, and suede is very on trend for fall. This looks like it's nice and drapey, and it just has a very loose, relaxed silhouette. I don't think that it has any closures, or if they are, they're hidden, and then it has a belt that you can tie at the waist. The pattern that I was reminded of is the Helen's Closet Pona jacket. It has a very similar shape to the And Other Stories trench, but you would have to make a few details different if you wanted it to be more like the inspiration. You would need to add your own tie belt, for example, and the Pona jacket comes with patch pockets, but you could remove those and put in inseam pockets instead. And then the And Other Stories jacket also has the little belts around the sleeves, but that's an easy detail that you could also add to the Pona if you wanted to. As always, I will have all of the patterns linked down in the description box, along with the original inspiration items in case you want to take a closer look at them yourself. In these inspiration videos, I don't post fabrics because I think that fabric is such a personal thing. It's best to just find your own fabric, and then you can choose whatever color or texture that suits your taste. The next item from And Other Stories is one that I am seriously considering making myself. It's this knit top that has really beautiful draping. It has a fairly high, almost sort of a funnel neck. It has some diagonal ruched details at the shoulder. It's a relatively long blouse, and then it has long sleeves. I was immediately reminded of Simplicity 9541. This looks almost identical to the And Other Stories top. It has a few different views, but view A would be the one that's most similar to the inspiration photo. I'm actually seriously considering making this for myself out of a silk jersey, but I just haven't had time to get to it yet. I really like that it's a pretty simple t-shirt, but it's a little bit more elevated with that neckline and the ruching, and you could easily layer it as well for the fall and winter season. The next item from And Other Stories is this really beautiful embroidered blouse. They show it in a burgundy embroidered cotton, which is very much the on-trend color for fall. It has a stand collar and really loose billowy sleeves. There's some gathering at the shoulder line, and it does button all the way down the front. So the pattern that I chose to duplicate this is Vogue 2031. View A would be the most similar in shape to the And Other Stories top, although I think that the Vogue version has some extra trim to it that you could just leave off if you found a nice embroidered cotton. The Vogue pattern does have a collar and collar stand, but you could easily just omit the collar and just use the stand if you wanted it to be more similar to the original. The next shop that I went to is Cezanne. I really love their aesthetic. I've heard that their quality is going down, but I've never actually bought from them, so I can't say if that's true or not. I have done entire videos on inspiration just from Cezanne before, so I will link one up in the cards if you want to watch it after this one. In their newest fall collection, the first item that I chose was this plaid cropped coat. I just really like the shape of it. It's very vintage to me, and it has this nice wide collar. So the pattern to duplicate this would be the Sew Over It 1960s coat. You would have to make a few changes. For example, if you wanted to, you could enlarge the collar a little bit to get that more exaggerated feel of the original. The Cezanne coat does not have visible buttons on the front. It actually has a very similar shape to the 1960s coat, so you could just add like sew in snaps instead of using buttons. Oh, and I would pick version 2 for the 1960s coat, which is the cropped version, obviously, rather than the longer version. And then the Cezanne coat does have some elastic at the bottom that kind of gathers it in a little bit. The 1960s coat doesn't have that, but personally, I think the silhouette is pretty similar. I don't think you necessarily need that elastic. Both coats are lined, so I think you could get a really similar result if you use the 1960s pattern to duplicate the Cezanne jacket. For my other Cezanne pieces, I chose a corduroy suit. They made it out of this milk chocolate brown, which is just absolutely beautiful for fall. The jacket is a little bit of an oversized silhouette. It's a very classic double-breasted blazer. And then the pants are a little bit of a wide leg trouser, not overly wide, and they have some nice tailoring details. So for the blazer, I chose Simplicity 9825. The lapels on the Simplicity blazer are maybe just slightly wider than the one on Cezanne, but if you made it in a corduroy, it would be a really similar look. You would need to add some extra button details, but that's a fairly easy thing to do. I think from the photos that the Cezanne blazer does have patch pockets as well, but they're slightly different from the version in the Simplicity jacket, but you could probably alter that if that's a really important detail to you. For the pants, I picked another Simplicity pattern, Simplicity 9647. I would go for View C, which is the full-length trouser that does not have cuffs. The silhouette is pretty similar. I think the front pockets might be slightly different, but it does have the back welt pockets. And I think that these two combined would make an absolutely gorgeous suit for fall, or you could wear the pieces separately. The next shop that I went to is Cause. I've never purchased anything from there myself. A lot of their items are a little bit more oversized. They're maybe slightly more masculine. So if you like those kinds of details, check them out. The first item that I picked is something that is very on trend for fall, and that is the barn jacket. I picked this one in burgundy. It has a black leather collar detail, and that contrasting collar is just very, very popular for fall. I think you're going to be seeing it in a lot of different shops. So the pattern that I chose for this one is actually a unisex pattern. It's from Merchant & Mills. It's called the Painter Jacket. The sample is made up in denim, but you could easily switch out the fabrics to be more like the Cause version. The lower pockets are really similar, and so you could just leave off the upper pockets. The cuff details on the sleeves aren't identical, but they are pretty similar. And then the Cause jacket actually has raglan sleeves, whereas the Painter is a little bit more of a dropped shoulder, but overall it still gives that more oversized, more masculine feel. Next up, we have this fabulous denim boiler suit. They made it out of this really dark wash denim, which looks very classy, and it has a really long belt that looks like it uses D-rings as the closure. The pattern that I selected for this is the Style Arc Melrose. The upper portion of the jumpsuit is very similar to the Cause version. The cuffs are similar, the pockets are similar. The leg shape is slightly different. I think the Cause version has a little bit of a wider leg, but you could easily straighten out the legs on the Melrose to make it more similar, and you could also lengthen it. I think that the Melrose is maybe meant to end at the ankle, and you could lengthen it just a little bit more and make the ankles a little bit wider, and you would have pretty much the same jumpsuit as the Cause version. You would need to add a belt, but that's a very simple detail that you could easily do. The last Cause item that I chose was this denim shirt dress. Denim everything is very, very trendy for fall. This is an extremely oversized shirt dress, and so when I saw this on the Cause website, I was immediately reminded of a pattern that I just made, which is the I Am Patterns Amy shirt. This is another unisex pattern, and it comes with a lot of different variations. So the version that I chose is the longer top slash short mini dress with the short sleeves. It has giant pockets just like the Cause dress does. The only difference is that the Cause dress has a straight across hem, whereas the Amy shirt has a slightly curved hem. That's a detail that you could easily change if that matters to you. And it also looks like the Cause dress has more of a camp style collar, while the Amy shirt has a traditional collar and collar stand. But you could easily imitate that look just by leaving the top button unbuttoned, or maybe don't even put buttons all the way up the placket, and then you can kind of leave it a little bit more open if you prefer that style of neckline. The last store that I chose is one that I would not shop at myself. I do like some of their knitwear pieces, but we're talking about sewing in this video. But they're mostly known for their really bohemian flowy dresses, which is not really my style, but I know a lot of you out there really love the silhouette, so I added them to my list. This first dress from Christy Dawn, I basically found an identical copy of it. It has that really, really deep V gathered neckline, full balloon sleeves, and a really flowy long length, and this very fluid floral fabric. The pattern that I found is the Silver Saga Patterns Ella dress. As I said, you can see in the photos that it's pretty much identical to the Christy Dawn version. This pattern unfortunately does not have the best size range, but it was the closest match to what I could find, so that's why I'm including it in this video. The second dress from Christy Dawn is a faux wrap dress. It has short sleeves, there's some gathering shoulder details. It has a long flowy skirt that's cinched in at the waist with the drawstring. The pattern that I picked is the Chalk and Notch Orchid dress. You would have to change the sleeves a little bit. I would select View B, which is the long sleeve version, and then just shorten the sleeves above the elbow and maybe put in an elastic cuff. I can't really tell, it looks like it might be gathered, but you could also just hem it as well and leave it loose. The Chalk and Notch dress does have a slit in the front, but I actually like that better than the original because it's easier to walk in. You could make it out of a really pretty ditzy floral fabric and get a very similar looking dress to the Christy Dawn version. This next dress is a really cute little mini dress with a really pretty contrasting collar on this V neckline, and it has short sleeves that look like they might be shirred at the edges. It's kind of hard to tell. The pattern that I selected for this one is the Vicky So's Sharon dress. It looks almost identical to the Christy Dawn version. You would have to pick a different fabric for the collar, maybe trying to find an eyelet lace that has a little bit of a scallop on the edge. But I also like the way that they have done it in the modeled photo with the little embroidery on the collar. I think that the feel is the same with that really sweet femininity. But the sleeve finish is really similar to the Christy Dawn. The length is similar, the shape of the dress is really similar, and they're both even made in a small dark floral. I think this dress could be really cute for the fall season with some tights and knee-high boots. And although it's not on my list to sew for this fall, I'm sure that it would look fabulous on someone. I hope that you enjoyed this video and you were able to find some inspiration. Let me know in the comments if you're excited about fall sewing. I know that I am. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.